excuse me. Well, Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State and his aides have survived a potential aircraft crash after the engine of the private jet they boarded was discovered to be faulty. Now, the incident was reported to have taken place on Tuesday, September 5, 2023, at the Murtala Mohammed Airport on a Bombardier Global Express 6000 owned by billionaire businessman Chief Adeleke Adeleke, father of the music icon David Adeleke, the one a lot of us know as Davido. Now, a source close to Adeleke revealed that the jet had not taxied with Adeleke and his aides when a loud sound was heard from its engine. And according to sources, engineers swiftly examined the engine and discovered that it was faulty. The flight was immediately aborted to avert any disaster as a result of engine failure. Now, passengers were then evacuated from the aircraft. Now, still with us to make sense of this, we have Nick Agule and John Akirile, both social affairs commentator. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for staying with us on this one. Um, Let me start with you, John. I'll get your thoughts too, Nick. But John, let me start with you on this one. Now, the governor is, investigations are on. Yes, investigations are on. The governor has said the governor is alleging sabotage. All right, he's saying, look, uh, if it was a bed nest that was in the engine, bed nests are made of straws, not wires. What they found in the engine were wires. All right, so he's alleging sabotage. Now, sabotage on this level, does this look like, can we say, an assassination attempt or negligence? Where do we peg this kind of incident? John, please.
Well, I think you can get such a statement because we are Nigerians, and most of the time we are religious in our approach. And if anything happens to anybody, the first thing we look at it is to look at it as an attack, either from village people or from your family or from friends who do not like you. You call them your frenemies. That's where the attack is coming from. But in other clans, they don't think it that way. If something like that must have happened, when are you flying? When was the last maintenance done on that jet? When was the last flight that jet, was boarded? So these are questions in terms of maintenance culture. So if that maintenance culture is not being there, don't let us attribute every fault that comes from our, aviation section into spirituality. Ordinarily, if that jet was functional and had the last flight maybe on Monday or on Tuesday, and then the pilot would have been saying to you while we are coming, I think one of our engine is not really good, and then the maintenance unit would have seen that engine and then look at what they can do to fix that engine before the next flight. But it can only happen in our own country. So what I'm seeing here is not sabotage. He might think as a politician that maybe people that wants to have his life ended are the ones in charge of that. But in a good country where maintenance culture is top notch, you would have known that that engine, first engine is working, second engine is not working. And then you would have been shifted to the next jet or the next flight so that which is fit to fly. And then you can fly. But in our own case, we don't even check if the aircraft is fit to fly in the first place. We just said we are on the flight, we want to fly, and then we fly. But the question we should ask is that aircraft fit to fly? If it's fit to fly, then you can go. If that aircraft have been certified to be fit to fly and something of this nature happen, that is when you can say there is a sabotage. There are saboteurs who want your life, to be cut short. But in a case where it is not even certified fit to fly, then I don't think that is sabotage, but rather it's more of negligence, I don't care attitude, this attitude of no maintenance culture that has been ingrained in our bloodstreams and our vein as a people. And that should be taken out. And so that is what I see here, not spirituality attached to it at all.
So, Nick, what are your thoughts, really?
Um, my thoughts are that uh, before before a flight takes off, you will see the pilot they will step down or come from wherever they are. They do a pre-flight check of the flight. They go around the aircraft. I have observed that severally. They go around the aircraft, they check everything, and they look into the engines. You know, if there was any sabotage and wires in the engine, so there are only two possibilities. It's either this pilot failed to do the pre-flight physical inspection, physical external inspection of the aircraft, or there was nothing like that. But for me, this is not something that should be subject to speculation.
Okay.
Anytime there is an incident with an aircraft in Nigeria, we have a body that is called the Accident Investigation Bureau. They move in, they are trained experts, they do the investigation, and the report comes out. So when matters like this come, it is for us all to exercise patience, to allow the AIB to do their work, because when we start speculating and politics is now being mixed up in the whole fray, a lot of nerves can now be tempers can flare, and we're in Nigeria now where everybody is suffering. I mean, majority of people are suffering from all the harsh economic realities. We don't want to be having any sort of conflict where party faithfuls will be at daggers drawn with each other in terms of an incident like this. So this is in the realm of professional accident investigation, and let that happen as quickly as possible.
All right. So while we wait for the report, if the public will be made aware of that report, actually, but it would be nice if the public is made aware of the results of the reports on the accident. Now, while we wait for that, let's speak a little to maintenance culture. Now, John did touch on it a bit. We know how. I mean, Nick, you're a frequent traveler, so you know very well how things are done. We've had cases where the airports have been said to be the terminals at the airports have been said to be in a terrible state with bad smell, overcrowded. But now, there's been a movement to a newly built terminal, and Nigeria is trying to rebrand its image, especially since that is a major entry point into the country. So, what has been perceived when people step into the country, what has been perceived at the airports, goes a long way in determining the mindset of those coming into the country as to what to expect in their relationships with Nigerians. Now, there's a new Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Nick. Let's dovetail to that aspect now. What are the things that you would, in your opinion, would want the minister to pay attention to in terms of putting things in proper perspective, so that we will not have issues of terminals looking terrible or aircrafts not properly taken care of and lives being in danger? Maintenance. Keyword here. Nick, please. I'm staying with you, Nick.
Yes. So maintenance is a very important thing when it comes to aviation, because we cannot afford to make mistakes when it comes to aviation. A plane is not like a car that if you don't maintain it and it breaks down, you can clear and park on the beside the road and then call mechanics or technicians to come and fix it. A plane, if anything goes wrong, that plane is coming down. And when that plane comes down, it's a box full of fuel and other combustible materials. It's as good as the people who are on board that plane, their fate is determined. And let me commend the Nigerian aviation sector, because there was a time when planes were falling off the skies in Nigeria very frequently. You wake up in the morning and you hear that ADC has gone down, Bayview has gone down, Soluso has gone down, like that. Some of those crashes were coming from lack of maintenance or technical errors that were made, possibly people not doing what they were supposed to do, cutting corners and things like that. Part of the crashes also came from pilot errors. Like I remember the ADC crash in Abuja that took the life of the Sultan of Sokoto. The pilot was told that the weather was bad, but he still went ahead and attempted a takeoff, and he just crashed immediately. But we have not, for a number of years now, we have not had, apart from the military aircraft, they've been coming down anyway. But for civilian aircraft, there has been less of accidents, which is commendable. So we just have to keep up with the maintenance culture. The Minister of Aviation, this is one area he must ensure that Nigerian travelers who are, who are patronizing the airlines have these airlines to do what they need to do. You try to think about the likes of British Airways. I mean, British Airways has been flying into Nigeria possibly before our independence. Has anybody one day heard about British Airways flight having a problem? But they fly daily into Abuja, daily into Lagos. So that is the kind of maintenance for our local airlines as well, where they can operate with zero accident for decades upon decades.
Very well, Nick. Okay, all right. John Akirele, you're still with us, right?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this kind of disasters, of course they are fatal in that, of course, plane accidents are such that there are usually no survivors. Now, can we link this? This is just me thinking out loud. Given the way the governor Adeleke got into power with all the issues that surrounded his election and every other thing, can we link this to more like a sabotage in that, like link it to maybe the opposition or something, because this is supposed to be a private plane, so it is owned by the Adelekes, so to speak, so having it have, something, have faults, that were not detected before then, do you think that there might be some kind of sabotage?
Well, if you look at the kind of politics that we play in our own zone, our own part of the world, that would be the first thing that would come to your mind, because some people are not happy, and that's why with the result of the election, and that's why they had to go to tribunal. And even when the result came from tribunal, they had to go to the Supreme Court, and it was when the Supreme Court gave a verdict that they had to rest their case. But be that is me, they will not still rest on their oars. They will still be vibrant opposition. And it is so sad because the kind of politics we play is a politics of the winner takes it all. Until we come to that point where we look at it that even if you are the winner, we have an all-inclusive kind of government where it's not, sided, line-sided government where it's only your party or your party faithfuls that gets benefit of democracy as against the people. So that is what you always get. But for me, the jet is owned by the Adelekes, but then the Adelekes are not the pilots, they are not the maintenance crew, they are not the cabin crew, which means that you have other people who are external people who are not the Adelekes, and those people can also be compromised looking at our own system and our kind of terrain that we operate in. So if you are looking at it as a sabotage, and people look at it that, okay, yes, people always say that don't allow your trust to be tested, because once it is tested with some huge amount of money, you might be able to see that you fall a prey. And so maybe a cabin crew member must have been promised, just do this, somebody will know that you are the one that did it, and they will pay this amount of money. And then if that loss leads to the failure of the jets in the airspace and leads to crashing, then the governor would have been the death by now. And that would have been the aim of those people who wanted that to be done. So I think it's the kind of politics that we play. And this should also serve as a pointer to us that the kind of politics we should be playing is that winner does not take it all. have opposition in your own team, and let's see how you can serve the people in the utmost interest of the people. Because when you win an election and the people do not really get the dividends of that democracy, then you have only wasted people's time, wasted their mandates, wasted the resources, and some people will still come hunting for you. So for me, it's not more of sabotage, but it's more of negligence, that lack of maintenance culture, which we should check. Go to other clans. You see that when they want to do something, they do it as if their life, depends on it. And that is the service. Can we have such a service also back home from the airport where the custom is not asking you, okay, what did you bring for us? As if it's not being paid salary. These are things that we should check. Okay, look at the new terminal that has been commissioned now. I give you 10 years from now, go and check the new terminal. You will see that as it is now, it's shining. The floors are, everything is new. The AC is working. The fan is blowing. Go and check there 6 months, and you see that not all the fan will be working. Not all the lights will be working.
John,
Who is in charge of that?
I pray that we disappoint you on that one. I pray that we disappoint you on that one. I pray. Yes, I pray.
Countries don't pray. This is not a matter of prayer. This is a matter of prayer. It's not prayer that makes light to work.
Well,
there's a maintenance culture that must be imbibed in people. It's not by prayer. So please leave prayer aside, I beg. No, bring that prayer here. And we must tell Nigerians that when things must be done, let it be done right. We don't bring spirituality into it. If light is not working at the airport, it's not the time for you to say you want to pray and fast. Fasting will not on the light. What will on the light?
This is a new one.
Maintenance culture.
This is a new one, and we do hope.
Change the bulb.
We do hope that it will be maintained properly. That's our hope. So let's get your final thoughts on this, and then we'll take Nick's final thoughts as well. Quickly, please.
All right, my final thought is just about people back home, that let's see that anywhere we find ourselves as a service provider, let's provide a service that the people are paying for. And don't expect anything in return. Just do your job the way it ought to be done and leave the reward to come to you thereafter. God bless Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria. God bless you too, John Akirili. Nick Agule, let's have your final thoughts as well on the topics shared so far. On this one, because my thoughts on the other one. Go ahead, please.
My final thoughts, riding on the beautiful submission by my co-panelist John, is that in Nigeria, we are praying too much. As much as we are praying in Nigeria, Nigerians are saying, I don't want this place of prayer. They are jackpying to places where people don't pray. So please, let us go to heaven. It's not meant to provide electricity or food or infrastructure. Those who have been elected, those who have been appointed, those who are running business, let us all just know that currently we are on stage in Nigeria as the actors, and let us just do our work. In 1960, when we got our independence, they are no longer on the stage, and for us too, one day we will no longer be on the stage. So let us make our impact and leave a legacy that when we exit the stage, they will say this generation helped take Nigeria from point A to point B.
Well, thank you very much, Nika Gule. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your contributions there. And also big thanks to John Akirili. We totally appreciate you, man. Thank you. Now let's go to business now, very, very quickly. Now, gas retailers have warned that the price of 12.5 kg cooking gas may hit 18,000 naira by December if the federal government does not restrict the activities of the terminal owners. Now, the president, Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers, Olatubosun Oladapo, told journalists yesterday, on Sunday, that the price of liquefied petroleum gas, also known as cooking gas, has gone astronomically high as terminals, as a result of a sudden increment from between 9 to 10 million naira per 20 metric tons to 14 million naira per 20 metric tons. According to him, terminal owners were hiding under the guise of high foreign exchange to increase price to further increase the suffering of the masses. Olatubosun said there was no justification for the increment as the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited still supplied the market. Oh well, we talked a bit on this one during the newspaper review of the show. If you missed it, you can always go to our YouTube page and, look back and listen to what was discussed at the time. To another business story now. Electricity distribution companies will resume distribution of prepaid meters under the Meter Assets Provides program this week. Now, this was revealed by the head metering team for Ikeja Electric, Morenikeji Amosu, at a virtual stakeholders forum. Now, while giving an update on IE's metering efforts to customers during the meeting, Amosu said a new set of meters had been imported under the program and deployment would resume. He added that the firm would first clear backlogs of old orders made about 2-3 months ago before attending to fresh orders. And according to him, electricity customers who had paid the old prices before the newly released prices by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission would be metered without additional payment, while fresh orders would attract new meter prices. All right. So those are the business stories that we have for you. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have entertainment and sports. Stay with us.